Hey folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Today's episode, we are going to be reviewing a campaign that has been published for Pulp Cthulhu, although it can also be used in Call of Cthulhu, called The Two-Headed Serpent, which I got to start off and tell you, I'll be right up front about this. My feelings on Pulp Cthulhu are not secret. I reviewed it. I'm not a big fan of it. I thought it was not pulpy enough and a little too late. I feel like they're also trying to hammer a system that really isn't born to do pulp into a pulp setting. My feelings on that are unchanged. This campaign, however, is absolutely awesome. And I'm going to dig into it fairly deeply because unlike most of adventures I do where I kind of go gentle on it because I don't want to tell you too much because in case you're a player and you're watching this and you want to get ahead, but I'm going to do it on this one because one, I think it's a good enough campaign, and two, I think that's the model I need to take when I review all adventures from here on in. So if you are a player or you believe you ever will be a player in this campaign, leave now. Just turn off the browser, go back to whatever it was you were looking for before, mute me. It'll be fine. Go ahead and go. Are they gone? Okay, good. I love this campaign, folks, for a variety of reasons. One, it uses my favorite villains, or my favorite low to mid-level bad guy in the Cthulhu mythos that I feel like never get enough love, or at least never get enough organized love. These are the Serpent men. Excuse me, Serpent people. I have to make sure that the Serpent Justice Warriors don't come after me for saying the wrong thing. The overall plot of this is the players get involved in what is pretty much a pissing match between three different cults of serpent people that go all the way back to one of their earliest civilizations. On the now lost continent of Mu, they had built a doomsday machine whose entire purpose was to wipe out all mammalian life on the planet so that the serpent people could continue to reign supreme because they saw mammals and thought, well, that's not a good idea. So the two main factions that were going on were Yig, the father of serpents, that actually makes a whole hell of a lot of sense, and Tathuga, which I'm still working on that one. So they were both in control. They started battling for this. In the battle, something got damaged, and the continent and the island of Mu disappeared. Got basically shoved into a pocket dimension, and that's where it's been stuck. Well, the third group that gets involved in this is an ancient serpent woman, sorceress who wakes up, who actually worships Gahanatoa and is linked to that great old one, which is, I believe, the great old one who lives in a volcano that if you look at him, you slowly turn into stone, or at least you get paralyzed in pretty horrible fashion. I guess she uses a mirror. So you get involved with the three groups that are trying to reopen the continent of Mu, get back there, and then activate this device to wipe out mammalian life, and then they can start their new serpent people thing anew. One of the things I actually kind of liked that I read once was the serpent people have been slowly manipulating human society in the modern setting to activate climate change, to make it hotter on the planet so that it's more hospitable for them so they can come back again and turn us into food, fodder, or fun. Well, the campaign itself starts out in Bolivia. And like all good pulp campaigns, globetrots from there. Different portions of the campaign take place in different settings. So you go to such wonderful places across this, wonderful and exotic locations in this campaign, from Bolivia to New York, Borneo, Iceland, the Belgian Congo, Calcutta, Snake Island, Mu, and Oklahoma, where the wind comes whistling down the plain. Not exactly what I would think of for setting a major piece of this campaign, but you know what? It works, and you just go with it. Over the course of the campaign, which is more linearly laid out than, say, the Masks of Nyarlathotep, you still have some moving around options. But over the course of this, you discover what they're doing, what their plots are, side adventures. One of the themes of this is paranoia because the serpent people, not unlike the ghouls, can take on the form, likeness, and kind of personality of anyone they want to. Now with the ghouls, they have to eat them. And with the serpent people, I'm pretty sure they do too, which always raises the question, so if a serpent person eats a human to take on their form, do they still have the big distended belly that reptiles get? But that's a question for another day in wiser heads than mine. Now, like all pulp campaigns, there are new exotic weapons that you can run into and items such as the Serpent Scepter, the Gravity Manipulator, the Laser Staff, and the Petrification Gun. Now, it does give you some pre-generated characters for you to work with. They include a PI, a doctor, an archaeologist, a scientist, an explorer, and a gun mall. 5 of these things belong together. One of them is not the same. I've only been in one campaign where the gangster's girlfriend actually played a significant role and was useful in the campaign, and I believe that was an outlier rather than a commonality. Can you use this with regular Call of Cthulhu rules? Yes, although it advises you to go into this cautiously because it's a pretty high action game, which kind of brings me into my problems with Call of Cthulhu used for high pulp in the first place, which is I do not really believe the BRP system, the percentile system, can be used for high adventure pulp. I think it's best for darker, grittier settings. Call of Cthulhu, Stormbringer, I think it works well there. Does that mean this campaign is not good? No, it's a fantastic campaign that I would probably, if I were determined to run this, I would upconvert into Savage Worlds either as presented with Realms of Cthulhu by Reality Blurs or with Achtung Cthulhu as presented by Mephidius, which is their World War II Cthulhu investigators and soldiers against the Cthulhu mythos and Nazis to start with. I think this adventure would work fantastically in any pulp engine you want to use. My go-to pulp engine is Savage Worlds. That should shock none of you that have ever looked through our back catalog. However, your mileage may vary. A lot of people love Hero, go with that. A lot of people love Silhouette. Oh, okay, if you love it, that's great. I don't think it's particularly pulpy, but if you want to use it for that, honestly go with the engine that you know and love the most. If you and your players love it and you can make it sing, then it's not a bad engine. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.